Okay. Hello YouTubers, welcome to another episode. Today, as you can probably tell from the title, we're doing something related to Head of the Charles. For those of you that don't know, I will be racing there this weekend. It's come to my attention that a lot less people follow my Instagram and my YouTube, and some just follow one or the other, which is completely fine. But I've been posting a lot of content on Instagram lately to do with Head of the Charles, so it would make sense if you didn't follow there that you didn't know that I'll be racing at the Head of the Charles. The Head of the Charles is the biggest, if not one of the biggest regattas in the world, so it'd be really exciting to go there. And for those of you that don't know, I have raced there multiple times before. I went to university pretty much on the course, or my boathouse from university, or the boathouse I trained at every single day pretty much, is basically on the course. So I trained on that, on the Head of the Charles, on the course every day. So I'm excited to get out there and race on a course I'm very, very familiar with. And it's funny, a lot of comments about making sure my course is right. Obviously, the course is pretty difficult, which I'll be talking about in future episodes, but I've been on that course for many, many, many hours. So I'm hoping that that information I've learned sticks. But for now, we're getting on the water for some pieces. Oh, my blades. I thought I put my blades out, but I did not. Found them. And in this episode, another thing I've come to realise, YouTube's an ever-evolving landscape of, or at least the audience is, so sometimes, so I've been on YouTube for probably going on a decade now, and you can see how different audience reacts to different types of content. Sometimes you put in short content and it's really well received, other times you put extra information, extra chatting if it were, and it's very much better received than shorter stuff. Today's episode is going to be a bit more on that longer side, so I'm sharing bits like this, just me forgetting my blades. So now, let's head on the water. But as well, let me know what you think. Do you prefer the more natural what actually happens, or would you prefer me cutting all the things that might make the point of the story more direct, but misses out a lot of reality versus YouTube? Oh, a bit windy. Wait. This but can get a bit slippy, just hope you don't made it. It looks like got a little bit of a break in the rain. It's been raining all day, so fingers crossed it stays like that. But if it rains, we train anyway, we do the pieces. It might be raining on race day. Oh, there's some wind. Oh, it'll be nice one direction. Yeah. And one of the things as well, Scotland seems to, they see all seasons, but mostly in one day, and it feels like today we just skipped autumn. It's pretty cold, but it's around, well, I'll look at my watch, I don't know, it's under 8 degrees now, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon roughly. But Yeah, oh, I've got some mud on my hand. Yeah, it's cold, and it kind of got real cold real fast. I had a question about getting in and out of the boat. It's a bit difficult, but having a reverse wing boat and being 6'9", I can do things like this and reach my gate quite easily. It's not too difficult, especially when you get used to it. Got some shmoo on the handle. Delightful. Shmoo on the shoe. Yeah, so this episode could be a little bit longer, a little bit chattier. I've fueled for this training session, as I will hopefully fuel for the Head of the Charles, for the races and big sessions after, and it's slightly different adjustments in the fueling, and what the words I'm looking for is, it's not too different. It's just different enough that I might feel not so ideal. So trying different fueling strategies out now, and much better to try it out in training. Oh, it's very cold. Much better to try it out in training and have a nightmare because you've fueled wrong, versus doing it the first time in racing. Oh, it's very cold, so I'm not sure how long this warm-up's going to be, but we will see. Now, this bit of the water in the canal, I'm not sure if I've said before, and for those of you that have not seen this bit of the canal, it's a bit windy to start with till we get through that bridge, and then it's a bit wider and a bit easier to navigate. But there is a segment. I've got the comm for the segment going this way, but generally we're always warming up this way. Let me know if you would like me to try and get the segment going this way, and I'll make a video about it maybe. But that's for a future episode. Today's warm-up is going to just consist of getting warm, obviously. And I've been really trying to focus on the blade placement. So having that kind of pushing back, especially in the warm-up. So I'm placing, then pushing, and also it's a place, then swing, rather than a place, then pull. Hopefully that makes sense. So starting off from the back, sometimes I'll just skip arms only, depending on how I'm feeling, but generally I feel, for me right now, trying to get warmer a bit quicker. I'll move on through the movements quicker so I can be warmer. These pieces, yes, I want to row well, so I'll try and keep the technique as good as I can, but it's about getting the work in, put myself in a little bit of trouble, like I will be in race time. So arms and body, trying to place backwards, blade fill, almost, that would be an emphasis, stop for a drill. Just having the place, pull, place, press, place, swing. Or at least that's what I'm thinking. And I can't do that without, oh, here's our friends, the swans. Out of the way, please. Yep. There's quite a lot of, well, there's a mating pair, or whatever pair of swans here, so obviously every year a breeding pair of swans, and that's, we'll see in a few more swans that you have to dodge here on the canal, but it's the adults that can be pretty aggressive and attack your blades, sometimes even attack your boat. But back to the warm-up. Blades backwards and in. Backwards and in. There they are. Excuse me. Yes, I agree. Sun's coming out, that's beautiful. So hopefully it'll get a little bit warmer. But even as we build up, I really like to use the warm-up. Like, you're not taking your most powerful strokes yet, so it's a chance for you to take good strokes. Ooh. But a chance to focusing on that warm-up, focusing on that technique. Sorry. And so even here, maybe half slide or so. I'm trying to square so that all I'm doing when I get to the catch is that backwards placement, or at least that feeling of just placing the blades backwards. The issue is when you square later, which I do, as it can be a very difficult thing to time. We're into some lilies, avoid those. If you square up late, I'll try and demonstrate. If you square up late like so, you're squaring and placing basically at the same time. So it's much more likely for you to miss a good catch. Whereas square early, all you're doing is place. At least that's the theory, easier said than done, as I'm collecting some reeds. And that's, again, one of those things that for this video I'm going to keep in, but generally I would have skipped that bit of the video, probably this entire bit of the video. I would have just started when the pieces have started post warm-up, but I'm intrigued to know what you guys think. Whether you'd quite like a chat through, a chat through video, maybe more often. It also gives me a chance to vocalize what I'm trying to do, whether it's on the water, off the water with the yamsquad, or just any thoughts. And that's what I kind of used to do with the daily vlogs. For those of you that are newer, I did daily videos for about 2 years every day, and it got to a point where I was not necessarily running out of ideas, but the ideas for the videos were essentially just what I'm doing during the day, whatever that day was. So it became a chat with you rather than a specific subject. So I might try and bring that back, not the daily vlog aspect, but more so videos where I'm just having a discussion relatively one way. I'm saying one thing and then you're answering in the comments. Maybe in the next video I'm answering, or at least replying in the comments. Yes, today just letting the thoughts roll, and as well hoping the battery lasts for the session. So it means for me, I'll cut some bits out, like maybe there's 20 minutes where I'm not doing much, But beyond that, I'll just kind of keep this video pretty raw. WWE raw. Just gonna up the pressure slightly here. A little bit of a straight for the windy portions. There's a tree somewhere there coming up, and I can't really see because of the sun. Oh, steering. There's a little dock that I would rather not go visit today. There's a funny story about that dock. If Camp watching, you would remember. Just coming round, you can see again. The sun is out my eyes. And this bridge, it's interesting, easy to navigate, but I've done it a few hundred times. It's wide enough for a single, so it's easy to like have your blades just here, but it definitely looks, I think, narrower than it is. And there's pretty much always fishermen to avoid here. Don't want to annoy them, so there's some folks around. We're all sharing the same water, so I'm not trying to annoy them. I would hope that they aren't trying to annoy me. There's been multiple cases I've not been part of, obviously. I remember one time I was on training camp with the GB team. Will Fletcher, if you're watching, you'll know what happened. So you go round and there's a part of the course that goes around this bend, and depending on the water level, it can be quite shallow, and the fishermen can be quite close to the water or farther away, depending on how much water is in the reservoir. And so again, nothing to do with me, obviously. We come back and all you hear is, oh, Fletcher's in trouble. Fletcher, something's happened to Fletcher. What do you mean? So a fisherman, it's going to be quite difficult to say they didn't mean it. They cast, or at least he intercepted one of the fishing lines and ended up getting a hook into his thigh and a big gouge out of his thigh, and it's very difficult to say that the fisherman didn't do it on purpose. But yeah, everyone's trying to use the water, just share, be happy, enjoy nature. So anyway, back to the rowing. Weather's looking nice. A bit unfortunate about the sun. I can't really see my stroke coach. Just below yourselves, just hit my Crocs, that red box. For those of you that don't know, stroke coach, it's a brand name or product name of a rowing computer, if you will. Gives me my speeds, the stroke rate, similar to what you see on when you're on the row machine. But currently, I'm squinting to be able to see it when the sun's directly behind us. But it is what it is. I'll probably start the pieces from here for a couple of reasons. One, I'm wanting to do 3K per piece. That's about the length of this stretch is just over 3K, 3.5. So I want to make sure I get 3 proper K in. And part 2, number 2. I can't remember what it is. No, can't remember. Oh, that's what it was. If I start about here, I'll get all of the so-called turns, which they're not, I wouldn't say turns, more bends in the water in the canal. But better to have a couple of bends, dealing with it at pace, at rate, because at the head of the Charles, there's more than a couple of bends. I would call them turns. Plus, we've got bridges and potentially other racers to be avoiding as well. So I'm doing a bit of an extended warm-up. Feeling like my legs are pretty alright, but don't want to overdo it. And it's a bit cold, so I want to make sure I'm pretty warm. So this is one of the slight bends. Again, not massive. Oh, the bottle's gone. Not ideal. Oh, that's good noise. Oh yeah. Yeah, stopped itself. Excellent work. Oh, no. So don't worry if the pieces, that'll stop. We're going to take my jack off. That'll hold that. When I was packing for this session, I decided to take the bottle that doesn't fit. When I put my Crocs there, it makes that noise, it wobbles around. So no big biggie. Just say hi to the breeding pair of swans. Hi, breeding pair of swans. Don't want to hit you. Oh. Yeah. But that burst felt nice. Low pressure, reasonable speed. Low pressure as in just taking it how it comes. Not low pressure as in pressure on the blades. But feeling pretty good. The fueling today, like I said, different to what I'm usually doing, just with some tweaks. I increased the amount of caffeine that I usually have because I've been reading some research on that. I don't really talk about supplements that often because the stance of the national governing body is not against supplements, but I know I'm in a relatively influential position in the rowing sphere, so I don't want to say I use caffeine, for example, and then all of these impressionable athletes, whether juniors or whoever, then go start using caffeine. My advice is slightly different to that of national governing bodies, but very similar. Do your own research. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't have any supplements whatsoever, which that's where it varies. But if you're looking to take a supplement like caffeine or creatine, for example, those are two of the most researched supplements pretty much in the world for sports supplements. But you have to do your own research and speak to your coach, speak to your doctor if necessary, and everyone in between to see what's best for you. Generally, you'll get more out of increasing your fitness, increasing your technique. If I'm still increasing my and making my technique better and getting more back than, say, having creatine or caffeine, then probably is the case for most people that increasing your fitness, increasing your technical ability is going to do you better. But if you are looking to experiment with supplements following the national governing body's advice on only consuming that is batch tested, so there is Informed Sport, they basically run a program where they batch test a lot of their, or all of the supplements, and you can make sure that it doesn't eliminate the risk, but you can be more confident that those supplements are free of any banned substances, and that you are taking what it says on the tin, because unfortunately, depending on the supplement, a lot of the supplements can be, they sometimes generally don't have to say what's in them, especially if they're from different countries. The UK is slightly different, but yeah. Ideally, don't take supplements. If you really want to do some research, do a lot of research, see what you think would be good for you, and then if you have a good idea, become educated on that supplement, and then speak to a coach, speak to a doctor, ask their opinion, and then you can have the discussion from there. I wouldn't just say, right, I've heard this caffeine works, or whatever, therefore I'm going to take it, because everyone's a little bit different, and everyone has different needs. And again, back into the whole idea of this is going to be a long video, just chatting away, but I'm going to keep that in. Hopefully it makes sense to you that are watching, and if you have made it this far, listening along, maybe make sure you are subscribed. Hit that like button. So almost finished the warm up now. We're going to do another burst, and then we're going to get started. Basically, like I said, getting a full leg down, just shy of a full leg that way. Then I'm going to do a quick turn, maybe in a minute. Set it to 2x3k with a minute rest. But that minute's not really a rest. It's more just to turn and give the stroke coach a chance to record 2-3Ks. I could put it to 6k, for example, and then have a turn in there. That turn is going to throw the splits way off. So 2x3k, 1 minute rest. Going for a little burst. Aggressive bottle knocking. Like I said, jacket's coming off. Before we go, and then we'll go. Can't see, fantastic. I'm definitely hoping that the battery lasts this whole session. Otherwise, probably won't post it, because I think posting half of the video wouldn't really give much context if it just suddenly ended. Okay. Raw. Right. One of the good things as well about rowing in the same place often enough is you get to know the splits. The splits here are quite slow relative to other places. It's quite shallow and there's a lot of weeds and reeds that can slow the boat down. The water, being in Scotland, isn't warm, which also slows the speeds down, which is good to know because you could be doing a piece in, say, warm water. So you went on training camp, you do pieces in warm water, deeper water, maybe even with some stream, and you're feeling really good about yourself because you're hitting these splits, and then you go into a body of water like this, and you think to yourself oh, I'm going really slow, when in reality you're going the same speed. Not literally, you're going slower or faster, but your fitness hasn't dropped, your technique hasn't dropped, etc. It's just a case of the boat's going slower because of the conditions rather than yourself. I think I might even take my long sleeve off. I think it's a long sleeve off session. Yeah, but yeah, the conditions here are not fast. And if you followed this through the summer, I've been doing 1K prep. I did a 1K piece before Met or Marlow. I did a 703. It's a 145 and a bit split. But a 140, yeah, 703 at the 2K itself at Marlow. This isn't going to fit. And on the 1K piece before here, I did a 149 average. Obviously conditions change and they are different depending on, oh, that's not going to work. Conditions do change, but yeah, generally here at Auchenstary, we've not got the fastest of conditions. Just trying to make some space for my jacket. And there's not a lot because my feet are very far forward. Struggling very much. Just hope my bottle stays, those shoes should stay. As they talked about getting too warm, the wind picks up, it gets colder. Right, battery is halfway used. Let's see if we make it to the end. I'm going to adjust my workouts, intervals. To by 3,000 meters. It's going to be quite long, and then 1 minute rest. And on your stroke coach, on your rowing computer, you can run the intervals so it does the timing for you. It's pretty handy, but I think it's an additional part. It doesn't come with all of the rowing computers. So, here we go. Right, run workout, yes. So I'm just going to start this workout. I'll record it, but probably not show all of it, unless something happens. But I'll see you at different parts and then I'll have a chat after. Right. We're going to do this to the bottom. Oh. Well, I didn't know they were coming. I've paused a 1 minute rest. We're going to do a little bit more, not too much. But alright, that was really good. Really good sort of intensity. At the end there, stayed clear of the canal boat. Would have been nice to have a little bit of a warning, but we were fine. That's why you stay to your side of the canal. And on the way back, I'm going to have to go around that boat and maybe just use that as a little bit of a distraction. Oh. So a 154.2 average. I think it's a little bit quicker going this way, so I'm guessing the next one's going to be a little bit slower. So allow it to be slower, if that makes sense, but don't be complacent and say, oh well, we're in a slower direction, so therefore it's going to be slower. So still good pressure, and then in the last K or so, when we're ticking down into 3 digits from the 1000 something to the hundreds, use that as a little bit of motivation. Can we bring the average down? Excuse me. Keep my sunglasses on so that when I turn around I can see where this boat is. Generally I would stay on this side, but the canal boat's now on that side, so I'll go off, see where we end up. So that's been just going just above 2 minutes. The piece itself was 11.5, so I reckon 2 minutes is a decent, so we're going starting the timer now, so we'll have about 3 minutes of rest, maybe a bit longer. But if we can, I would much rather have a little bit more rest and increase the quality significantly of the second piece, rather than sticking to, I said, a minute rest, and then we get to do the first K just a bit blah, because we've not had any recovery or enough recovery, and then the last K not being so strong. I'd much rather have a bit of rest, have a decent first K, decent second K, decent third K, keeping the quality high. And I'm just hoping that I don't meet this canal boat at the narrower bits of the canal, but we'll see. Same again. Yeah, it's more of a headwind this way. Let me just deal with it. So, unfortunately, as I mentioned, I wasn't sure if the battery would make the whole session. And I did say if it didn't make it, then I wouldn't post, but I think it made the majority of the pieces. The pieces themselves. That last one was significantly slower, a lot slower than I anticipated. Let's see, workouts, days of recall. How's that? So average 200.1, 154, and then 205.9, 154.4. So a higher stroke rate on the first one, and then lower on the second one. I feel a bit fresher on that first one, and then the headwind. I'll let it get the best out of me on that one. Like I was like, oh, it's a headwind, rate a bit lower rather than trying to move how I want to move. So the last K, I'm not sure when the battery died, but the last K was significantly better, moving the boat along a lot better, and more in the style that is comfortable for me, which I had in the first one. As I mentioned before the pieces, the splits here can be quite slow, or at least I hope they're quite slow. 154 that way, it didn't feel like much, like the water's not moving too much. Yes, the boat is moving, but it's not a strong wind, but it did feel like a strong headwind. The water's pretty still, but oh yeah, 154 for 3K. Feeling like it would have been difficult, but would have been able to do 5. Gives me good confidence for ahead of the Charles, or at least to complete the piece in in my own way, and my a good intensity. Whether that means it'll be fast or not, we'll find out when we finish the race. The second piece there, it was significantly slower, like I mentioned, than I anticipated it being. So for me, was that just me not quite rowing the conditions well? Was that just the conditions themselves, and it was going to be that slow anyway? But just the fact that it was 10 splits different, I think it was more. So yeah, I'm just not 100% sure. We're gonna go the middle ground and say it was partly conditions, partly how I rode. So not to blame the conditions, but also to give myself a little bit of a reality check. Rather than, I was hoping to come away with today's pieces, be like, wow, smash those 3Ks. They were really fast. And then we go to Boston, we roll really well the whole time, and then we smash the actual race itself and come away with a positive outlook on raced that really well, couldn't have went much faster. But that's why we do these pieces, and that's why we put ourselves, or at least I put myself in the place where, like, I would much rather have, like, today could be great. I just don't have anyone to compare against today, so it's difficult to know where you are in the scale of versus anyone else, versus actual speed. So I'd kind of do it to myself, but also I'd much rather feel this way before a race, so that come race time, I'm a little bit sharper, a little bit more ready, a little bit more hungry for it, if that makes sense, versus if I came away today thinking I'm absolutely incredible, and then come to race day and I feel rubbish. If that makes any sense. So just finishing off, we're gonna just roll down the windy stretch again, cool down, probably put another layer on, but that'll be it for today's episode, Yam Squad, as we blow into the bush here. Hopefully you enjoyed just that a little bit additional chat about the whole session. I'm going to try and figure out if I can get the whole session on one battery, and then that means it's easier for me, and then gets that continuous outed. And now I've got a dog playing fetch. Will he get it? He's going to get his bone. Should be fine drifting into the bank. And he's got it. Fantastic. So we've got a lovely little sunrise to finish off our warm down. But yeah, gonna go down the windy stretch, cool down, get packed, ready for Boston, ready for the head of the Charles. Speaking of the head of the Charles itself, so I'll be racing on the Saturday. On the Sunday, I want to set up sort of a a meetup or a sort of get together or a place where I can meet you all. I spoke to, so I'm borrowing a boat from Wintec, so I'll be around the Wintec area, Wintec stand. So I'm hoping that we can do like a meetup there on the Sunday. On the Saturday I will be racing, so generally I'll be kind of all over the shop prior to the race, and I'll much rather focus on that. After the race, fine, all free, and I've got about a day and a half till the flight leaves on the Sunday evening. So stay tuned, whether it's, again, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll post on Instagram like a time and place for where we can meet up, and I'll try and do the same on sort of the YouTube post community part, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to get out the hedge here, watch the swan doesn't come and get me, which has been lining me up for the last few seconds or so. But that will be it for today's episode of Yam Squad. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Lots of chatting today. That'll be it for the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it.